spoke briefly about recession and the way the cyclical nature of our economy goes. We're probably going to be looking at one in the next 3 to 5 years.
Right.
So even if we made this decision, if we face a recession, we're still going to end up with the same problem, no? Another element of that is like any company that you get to purchase the system is going to want to make profit. Now you can say it's not going to be as bad as if we had to sell it, but that money is still going to come out of us. Now you need to make a case for why the hell we should allow that, because that money is still going to be paid from us to them, and we're still going to have a pension liability, and we're still going to be taxed. We're going to be paying more to maybe hopefully stay the same.
So so there's a few finance pieces in there. And Larry, I'm going to take a stab at it. First, you talked about a recession. So you're right. It's likely that there's going to be a recession, and we do a lot of these things called stress testing, which basically, it simulates a recession and it shows us what happens to all the dollars in the pension system. Basically, what it does is just increases the liability and it decreases the funding ratio of the fund. So basically, we keep making big payments, and it doesn't move the needle on how much the fund is funded because we're not getting a good return on any of our investments. Larry, did I say that correctly? Okay. And then in terms of the profit piece, again, first I just want to be clear, we're not looking to sell the water supply. We're looking at a long-term lease agreement. The way that you actually make money out of lease agreements, or you're able to get a payment from...
I'm not talking about the city making money. I'm talking about the person that you're going to lease it to.
Right, so
the city makes money off the agreement. I care about how the person who's charging my water bill is going to make money off it.
So the water bill, it's hard for me to give a specific example because we don't have a water transaction before us, but generally speaking, in these types of transactions, they can have controls around rates, which is something we'd be looking at. We have controls around our employees, so maintaining our union workforce, and it would continue to be regulated by the Department of Health and would continue to be regulated by the PUC. Noting that all of those things, it's not going to be a big moneymaker type of partnership for any operator, and the way that they would, so right now Providence Water,
$1 million or however much you get the agreement for not a lot of cost. They're going to want that money back.
Ray, how do you say cutting costs is how they're going to get it?
So Nicole talked earlier about the efficiencies of scale that could be gained from an operator that can operate at scale. That is part of it. I just want to emphasize the role of the Public Utilities Commission, the PUC, which regulates all utilities in the state. Some folks have mentioned Pittsburgh as an example where rates went up and the city ended up terminating its deal with its partner in their efforts to address their financial problems. In that case, there was no regulation from their equivalent of the Public Utility Commission. Right now, if a utility such as National Grid or Providence Water, any sort of utility in the state that's regulated by the PUC, if they want to raise rates, they have to go to the PUC and demonstrate why they're raising rates, what infrastructure investments they're making that merit an additional investment from ratepayers. So investments like updating pipes, that is all ratepayer funded.
If I recall, I don't think has the PUC ever refused National Grid a rate increase?
No.
You're removing PUC control.
We are not removing PUC.
H5390.
We cannot legally remove PUC control from rates. They will absolutely always have oversight on rates.
But as I said,
And the PUC does intervene and manage rates absolutely with National Grid and others.
That's the best the PUC has ever
I'll just quickly note that I just want to emphasize before, the current Providence Water Supply Board goes before the PUC for rate increases. Okay, and rate increases are happening now, and in general, they actually do not approve the full amount and increase that Providence Water Supply seeks to make different investments. They actually ask for lower rate increases. So that same role would exist.
The PUC is still in charge of that partnership that we have with National Grid.
Right.
They have never refused National Grid a rate increase, regardless of the lack of the good work that National Grid has done.
Right.
Our problems with the electrical system can become our problems with our water system.
So the electrical regulation, again, we've been focusing more on drinking water and regulation. And generally speaking, they have not been, this Providence water supply goes before the PUC regularly, and they do not necessarily always approve the rate increases sought for the investments that are being made in the system. And again, PUC would continue to regulate that. Again, that's the body that we go before, and that would continue to exist.
We have to be honest that the history of the PUC is very clearly makes room for for-profit entities like National Grid to make a lot of money. National Grid makes millions and millions and millions of dollars, and they couldn't do that without being able to put their fabricated enormous rate hikes through the PUC, who then can look better by minimizing them a little bit, and National Grid is raking us over the coals.
So National Grid is guaranteed, I believe it's a 7%, I'm seeing a nodding head, so I'll say it with more confidence, a 7% return on investment for every infrastructure investment they make as a private entity. That was how that regulated utility was structured. Providence Water is not, and as a lease, that relationship would maintain the same. So it is different than National Grid. I think the point of comparing to other utilities is that these utilities have to make a clear connection between we're investing X in our system, we need to get, the only way they make money is from rates. So they have to capture that from the ratepayers.